On August 26th, 2020, Chris Cochran's son received a terminal diagnosis, and on September 1st, 2021, his son died. Today, Chris is going to share his story, and he's going to answer these questions which many of you may have asked. And that is, do life's challenges weigh you down? Are your days filled with a sense of emptiness and a tendency to focus on the negative? Have overthinking, anxiety, or anger consumed your mind and heart? You do not want to miss Chris's interview. Stay tuned.
Have you ever felt like giving up, quitting, throwing in the towel? Welcome to Never Ever Give Up Hope featuring Carol Graham. She's an author, health coach, and motivational speaker. Backed into a corner multiple times in her life, Carol shares with you stories on how she overcame some of the toughest obstacles a person can go through in life, but refused to give up hope. Rather than admit defeat, an opportunity was presented, and it involves each and every one of you. Carol will feature spectacular guests who will share their messages of hope, encouragement, and their inspiration to prove why life's adversities only make you stronger. And now, welcoming the host of the show, here's Carol Graham.
Chris Cochran is the founder and CEO of Blue Chip Solutions, but he finds his greatest sense of purpose in his roles as father, husband, and friend. At the core of who Chris is are his roles as father, husband, and friend. These purposes have profoundly shaped his journey and are the heart of his book, What's Good About Today? This deeply personal work is inspired by his son, Christian, who courageously battled terminal cancer. Christian's extraordinary perspective on life is exemplified by his daily question, What's good about today? And taught us to embrace each day with positivity. His legacy of hope and resilience is a precious gift that he is committed to sharing with the world. I cannot wait to hear your story, Chris. I am touched as I read this, and I thank you so much for being on Never Ever Give Up Hope.
Well, thank you, Carol. I'm, joyful that I get to spend this moment with you. It's certainly what's good about today, and I hope that there's many people listening and we can reach as many people as possible.
Absolutely. So, today you're going to share your story, and I can't wait to hear it. So, this I know will be a source of hope and encouragement. So, let's start from the beginning. Please take us through what happened.
Sure. So, my story is intertwined with really my family's journey, and that has been both incredibly challenging and deeply transformative. My son, Christian, he was an extraordinary young man, and he had a heart full of kindness and the spirit of optimism, and he had a way of bringing light to everyone he met. Christian was a graduate of Cook Honors College at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where he excelled academically and personally, and he was someone who truly lived the life with purpose. And at 22 years of age, Christian was diagnosed with a rare, aggressive cancer. It's called cholangiocarcinoma. It's usually only seen in Southeast Asia and in older people. So how does a kid from North Pittsburgh get something like this? And as a family, my wife, my son Nick, my daughter Kate, and we walked that journey with him. It was an experience that tested us in ways we could never have imagined. And we were, through every doctor's appointment, every treatment, every moment of hope, and every moment of fear, Christian faced his diagnosis with strength and faith, and that was beyond inspiring. And he ultimately, Christian believed that even in the face of such adversity, there was still good to be found in every single day. And as you mentioned, on September 1st, 2021, just about a year, we lost Christian. And it was a loss that shook us to our core.
Oh,
But even in that pain, we felt God's presence guiding us through prayer, reflection. And I realized that Christian's message that there was always something good in every day wasn't just something to live by, it was something to share. And so, writing what's good about today, a purpose driven life, became my way of honoring Christian's legacy and continuing to work he started, spreading kindness and gratitude and hope. So this journey hasn't just been mine, it's been our family's journey. My wife, Danielle, has been my rock. My son, Nick, has found ways to honor his brother in his own unique way. And his daughter, Kate, reminds me every day that Christian's spirit lives on in all of us. So together we've turned our grief into a mission, and we're committed to sharing Christian's light with the world.
anything you want to share about that journey regarding what you went through emotionally?
Well, I think, grief is a universal thing that every single person goes through, and it can knock you to your knees, of course. Losing your child is the worst thing that can happen to you. And so, I tell you that when Christian was diagnosed, and I tell this story in the book, when Christian was diagnosed, um, we were asked to go to Hillman Cancer Institute, which is the big cancer institute here in Pittsburgh, because Christian had some blood work done, and they did do an MRI to test some things and look. And they asked us to go in, and I assured my son that everything was going to be okay. I assured his mother everything was going to be okay. And we just didn't know. And this was during COVID, so you can only have one parent.
Oh my
And so
goodness, right.
so I went in. I remember I was standing actually. My son was sitting on the bench there, and 5 doctors walked in with lab coats. They had masks on, but as soon as they walked in, I could see their eyes. And it was in their eyes about to deliver the worst news to my
Mm,
son, Christian. And I knew we were not in a good place. They told Christian, "You have terminal cancer, a very aggressive cancer." And my son, of course, he sat there, and I started to go black. My knees started to wobble. I just knew that life had just crumbled down for my son and my whole family, his friends. And so um, he put his hand on my shoulder at that moment. I'll never forget. And he looked
oh,
me in the eyes and he said, "Dad, don't worry about it. I am going to be fine. You don't need to worry." It was his way of, again, his superpower of calming
mhm.
me down. And he made jokes. He made the doctors feel light at heart and know that they were doing their job well. And I tell you that this is what makes Christian extraordinary.
Mhm.
Not from the moment that he received his diagnosis to the moment he took his last breath, or surrounded by his family in his house and his pets and his girlfriend and us, did he ever complain one time. He never said, "Why me?
Hmm.
Why did this happen to me? Why God do this to me?" He didn't blame anyone. As a matter of fact, he did the opposite. He reminded us every day when we were down, when we were feeling this, he would remind us and say, "What's good about today?" with question mark. And it was his way of showing us that no matter how difficult things can be in a day, and they are difficult, and they were difficult for us, very difficult, he still found a way to bring a laugh, to show us there was joy. And to him, dying was just part of the journey. You can imagine a 22-year-old who has
Hmm.
this insight that people never ever achieve. And, he understood it better than anyone. And so I think that journey led us to, once Christian passed, that was, you know, when you lose someone to cancer and someone so beautiful as Christian, and I hope your viewers go to christiancochran.org. You can see pictures of Christian, and
Okay.
you could just type in Christian Cochran. You'll find all kinds of pictures. He was a beautiful, beautiful boy, gorgeous. brown hair, brown eyes, and to see someone wither away to cancer, as beautiful as he is around us all the time, it was devastating. And so you have to pick yourself back up. We follow that message. I tell you, I'd say about a year and a half, for a year and a half after Christian's passing, I think our whole family's a bit like a zombie. But, we love each other so deeply. And, the truth is a lot of families, they break up after things like this.
Yes, for
The
sure.
percentages are so high. And I mean, real high. I think I saw a statistic the other day. I mean, it's over 75%. It's crazy numbers, 75%. And it's because it's hard to listen to other people because you're going through your own set of grief. My kids are going through their set of grief. My wife is going through their set of grief. But we never gave up, right? We love one another, and we continued to seek, the love that we had in each other, with the love we have for Christian, and listen to his message, and continue to go on. Now, I'd be lying to you if I told you that this is an easy task. Doing these discussions are not an easy task. But I do remind myself to say what's good about today. This is what's good about today. I get to speak to you. I'm guaranteed this moment. I'm guaranteed this moment with your audience to have a conversation, to let them know that there is always something good in a day, no matter what time of day, And the thing about the message that Christian left us, it's not something you have to always say at the end of the day. You can say it in the beginning of the morning. You can say it in the afternoon. And you can certainly say it at the end of the night. But it's a moment. What it does is it allows us to seek the light within ourselves, to be present with ourselves, to recognize what's happening, and instead of just glossing over things and moving on. And so it's embracing those challenges, recognize them, and realize there is beauty in everything we do. We're only guaranteed what we have in front of us. So it's important to recognize that. And I think that ultimately that's what leads to a purposely driven life. It's a positive message, right? That's the point. The more people look to themselves internally and look for the goodness that surrounds them, and they will find it. I guarantee it will come back to them in spades, and give out that kindness. You will see it. And that's what we focus on.
All right, I've got a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, and we'll just back up a little bit, and that is, did you ever figure out, because this is such a rare form of cancer, why it happened? Like, was that important to you, or was that ever determined?
Well, when you go through the early parts of cancer, it's a scramble, especially with a cancer like this. I think, Christian, he put all his trust in his parents, and so we scrambled as quickly as possible to get him on the standard of care, which is, of course, chemotherapy. And there are different people do different types of chemotherapy. The one he went on was extremely strong, aggressive, the harshest you can put into a body. It's all harsh, but this was the difficult one. And so you scramble to make plans quickly. I think once we knew, the next day we went to a sperm clinic to keep his sperm. We were positively looking for the future, to make sure he could have babies in the future, right? And then we moved to quickly get him on these Suboxone and these different chemicals. And then you test your family, right? You go through so much testing individually to make sure, did we hold a DNA or hold something my wife had in us that could have caused this problem? And is it going to resonate to my other two children? And that came back negative. So, there's no real answer to this. I suspect when I die and ask those questions, I'll get the real answer. But I think that, I believe now Christian traveled too a lot. He did summer in India, and he worked in the water conservation areas. He was testing waters and things like. Now, I'm not making a claim that on that trip that's where he picked it up.
Right.
We don't know, but there's a high concentration of that cholangio in that part of the world. But it could be environmental things, the what we eat, how we eat. The truth is, cancer is in every single one of us. We all
Exactly.
have it.
Yes.
It's just what triggers it, and something could have triggered it, but we don't know. We just know it's of all the cancers that they kept giving us the chances of what it could be. That was the one thing we did not want. All cancers are bad, but the survival rate here is 6 months. And the reason Christian lasted a year, I think, is because he has a strong heart. He loves his family. And he was seen by every great doctor from MD Anderson down in Dallas to Sloan Kettering to you name it, Boston General. We went everywhere. So we went everywhere to find the best of the best in this space. But unfortunately, there's no cure. There's and ultimately, when kids get cholangio, it's a death sentence. If you're an adult and
Really?
get it, you get 5 years,
Wow.
6 years. I think it's the metabolism probably. By the time we had gone in, you don't recognize it till it's stage 4. So it's
Oh,
already spread to the lymph nodes. It's already starting to, make its attack, and it's constant. So, we not only did we did chemo, Christian was on experimental drugs that are now on the market now that are proving to help people with cholangiocarcinoma. Didn't help Christian, and all that they do is extend your life, maybe 3 months, 6 months. But the thing is, Christian knew his time here was short, and he embraced it. He never stopped living. He got a job even after that. He wanted to work and show his siblings he could do it. He worked with a company called ADP. He did that for 4 months until his body was starting to break down, and he made music. He got accepted into grad school. He wrote a dissertation paper that was amazing, and he got accepted to grad school to start in the fall. He even went and looked for an apartment with his
hmm.
friend who took him there. So, Christian just looked for the future that was always going to be
Right.
bright. And I wanted him to do that too, right? Our family, we always look that things God's going to come and play and we're going to be okay, and a lot of prayers around us. And I can tell you, we used to have, from the moment Christian got diagnosed, we used to have 12 to 15 women that would sit in front of our home around a tree and pray. That full year, they never missed.
Wow.
They'd come every Tuesday, and if it was rain or snow, and I'd seen them in the rain and I'd see them in the snow, they'd be praying for Christian. He had such an impact on this community and so many. And his love was deep. People loved him. You couldn't find a single person that said a bad thing about Christian, because he treated everybody with such kindness and caringness. He went out of his way. And after Christian passed, we started to get all the letters and we document all that, and
Hmm.
and stories that came out of the woodworks that we didn't know about. Teachers, superintendents that showed up at our door to give us letters. They couldn't tell us this way back when, but how Christian saved 2 lives while he was at school. And those who were suicidal that no one knew about. I never knew about these things. But he had this innate ability to sense anyone's pain and suffering they would go through. And so that carried on even when he went to college. Kids who met him for 5 minutes, who were loners, they had left their home, and they'd come to me and just say, "Your son, saved me. I was really bad." And he saw me at a lunchroom, my head down, and he came to me. And that's just how he was. He wanted to be he was very inclusive, loved everyone, and always wanted to do the right thing. So,
I'm so glad you shared that. That certainly touched my heart in many different ways, and I just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
of course,
And I know that the audience, many are relating as you are talking as well, what they may be going
yeah.
through. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about your book, etc. But first of all, specifically, what do you believe was the source of his strength?
Well, God, um, I don't, faith, things like that. I don't, not the thing about Christian was obviously he's a Christian, and we're Christians, and but Christian was a spiritual person too. I talk about that in the book. It's not an overtly, if you want to call it a Christian book. That's not what this is about. It's a love story book. So, but I think it was his faith ultimately, and the love that he has for his family, and of course his family has for him. He loved us unbelievably. I mean, he did. I have stories of, you know, I remember Christian. He was on the he'd be on the football field. He's not a football player. He was in the band. But once they finished the halftime show, kids would run to the concession stands, and one parent told me, she says, every time the kids would be running, there was only one kid that would stop, go into the aisles, and sit with his family, and that was us. And she said, I just always thought that was remarkable because it just showed how much he loved your family. He just loved to talk, and he loved his family, loved his sister and his brother, and loved us. And so he just had that natural way. And by the way, Christian wasn't that way. He didn't grow into being that kind of person. He was that way when he was a child. I document that in the book. There's his first time when he went to the bus stop, and every kid's clamoring to get on the bus. They want to get the best seat. They want to get in the back of the bus and get next to their best friend. Not Christian. Christian waited for every single person to get on that bus. He waited for the special needs kids to get on that bus. And then he would be the last person on that bus because he wanted to make sure everyone got on the bus safe and was happy where they were at. And ultimately, he'd always sit near the front or at the front, and he actually liked it because he could talk to the bus driver. So we always got all kinds of bus stories delivered to us. And it was just the way he looked at the world, very uniquely. And I thought, it's so important, this life that he led, that I tell that story and the story of how he looked at things, because I do think the more we emulate these things, the more I can try to emulate them, that I can lead a purposely driven life. And that's the point of the book. This book is, yes, I wrote it, but it's inspired by Christian. It's all the things that I learned over the 23 years with him that I wanted to share with others, to say, see, this is a good way. This is the right way to lead. And this is the way you can do things. And so that's really why we and why I put it together for that, and I think that's how he got it right. He was graced with a beautiful soul, and he knew how to do that.
I love the story about the bus.
Yeah.
That
I have many
speaks
stories.
volumes to who he was, and I certainly appreciate you sharing that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you have to offer the audience, specifically your book and anything else, and we will be back in just a moment.
Carol Graham would like to show you the path from misery to miraculous triumph in her fast-paced memoir, Battered Hope. She relates her determination to succeed as someone who experienced one horrendous nightmare after another. Gang raped and left for dead, loss of a child, husband falsely imprisoned, and cancer. Nothing could break her tenacity or faith. No matter what you face, heartache, loss, suffering, or injustice, Carol will illustrate how she became a victor the same way you can. The secret is to never, ever give up hope. Order your copy at Amazon or batteredhope.blogspot.com.
We're talking with Chris Cochran today regarding, first of all, his son and the experience that the family had when they lost Christian. That story is certainly gripping my heart, and I know it will yours, has already gripped yours. I love the story that you shared about his character when he was on the bus, taking the bus. I mean, that just touched me so much as a mom. I mean, that
Right.
must have just made your buttons burst to see how he was putting others in front of his own needs or his whatever. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. That spoke volumes to me, and I thank you for that. Talk about your book and also anything else that, that has developed as a result of Christian in your life.
Yeah. So I deliver my message in a variety of ways, but at its core, it's about connection, connecting obviously through the book, What's Good About Today, A Purpose Driven Life. I've been able to share Christian story with people all over the world. This book isn't just a memoir, it's a guide to finding purpose, gratitude, and joy in every day. It's something that resonates with people because it's real. It speaks to struggles we all face, right? And I also share this message through speaking engagements where I have the opportunity to connect with audiences on a personal level. So whether it's in groups of students and church congregations or podcast audience like yourself, my goal is to inspire people to see the good in their own lives and to trust ultimately in God's plan. There are many things that we have decided to, and ultimately Christian decided these things before he passed. One of the things Christian wanted us to do was to set up a foundation to help those who are less fortunate, help needy individuals, help children, start scholarship programs. And we have started that foundation, which supports and has catalyst for cancer research programs, youth programs, kindness initiatives. And, that was important to Christian before he passed. He wanted us to make sure when he moved on that we carried that light to those who found darkness. And it has been extraordinary in that journey. And we put a lot of the foundation. Christian's foundation is the Christian Cochran Legacy Fund through the Pittsburgh Foundation, a very reputable foundation, and we use those works and the money to put towards those who are in less need. So sometimes we partner with charter schools in the inner cities, provide programs where they use the message of what's good about today. We partner with school districts, which is now spreading across the country. We're seeing it in multiple schools.
Oh my goodness.
And where kids, what's fascinating about this, Carol, is that teachers love this as a teaching tool because they can come in and on the board it says what's good about today. Now it tells Christian's story for kids to know, and kids will write what's good about today in the morning. Like, I'm going to see my friend after school. I get to go to cheerleading. I get to play baseball, whatever that may be. But they use it as a way as kids to identify that today is beautiful and you need to see that. They can also use it to see if someone's not having a good day. So it has taken off in that manner. We do small things. We recently placed a microphone down on UNC Chapel Hill with nothing more than tell us what's good about your day, and we film it. There's no one there. And that's actually up on social media now, and people go and they just talk about what's good about their day. And so it's just getting people to remind themselves, and that's what Christian wanted us to do. And that's what we're trying to do, is to get everybody to focus in on that. And so in addition to that, we work with Young Adult Survivors United, which is YASU is a short, and it's young adults with cancer, right? You have pediatric cancer, but you have kids who are 18 to 35 who are just starting off their life, and some of them have nothing. And I mean, they don't have families to support them. They don't have good, Christian always felt very blessed. We were good parents, and he always felt guilty about that. He felt guilty that he had the privileges that others do not. And so he felt these to be important, that we support and take care of those who do not have, are not surrounded by love. And so we set it up at their foundation, and it's like a shopping mall. So we support all the food, and they come in. It's like a mall, and they will fill their bags once a month, bags that say what's good about today. And sometimes we get 30 people, sometimes 40 people, it just depends. And they'll come in and shop, and they take all the things that they need, gift cards, doggy treats, whatever it may be need, so they can go home and have a little bit of comfort and support. And so that's another thing that we did. And Christian knew about that organization before he passed and wanted us to do more work there as well. And so those are the main things that we're doing. And if you're ever in Pittsburgh, if anybody's listening in Pittsburgh, you can certainly go down into the Strip District, which is the most popular area of Pittsburgh right now. It's a booming area. And there's a beautiful Polish church at the end. It's got gold on top. You can't miss it. But right next to it is, on the main street, is a huge memorial. It's called the What's Good About Today Fountain. There's 6 boulders. There's water. There's a picture of Christian and his story. And telling people, one of the things is, be kind to everyone, because you never know what they're going through. And so many people go there and pray. Many people just go to sit. Many of all backgrounds in an urban landscape. And it's an extraordinary thing to see, because it's just about how much he loved everybody. It didn't matter where you came from, and it didn't matter.
What a legacy. Wow.
It is a legacy, yeah.
Amazing.
Yes, it is. It is. So we're proud of Christian and the work he continues to do. Now, one of the things I didn't tell you, Carol, is my son is incredibly funny. Christian was hilarious. He was extremely talented. I can hear him tapping me on my shoulder right now. Dad, don't tell these stories. And I do have a wired connection into Christian. And, he was the lead in every musical. He was the lead in every play at a very big, popular high school in the Pittsburgh area. Nominated for many awards. He's been in a movie. He was and had a prominent part in a big budget movie. So he was ready to take off when he graduated. He was actually headed to LA, and he had agents. He was ready to go, but the sickness just took him in a different direction, and it just wasn't meant to be. It just wasn't his course. This is our course. This is the course of getting this message out. That's all my course is. It's not about anything other than, how do I get that message to as many people as I can and get to them? And I'm seeing it happening. So that gives me more energy to continue to do it.
In a nutshell, if someone is listening and they are very distraught, maybe they're going through something similar or any other thing that would put them in a position of wanting to give up, what would be your message or Christian's message to them?
Sure. My message is one of hope, faith, and gratitude, but it's also about resilience and trust in God's plan. It's a message that came from Christian himself through the way he lived his life and the lessons he taught us. So Christian believed that no matter what the challenges you're facing out there, there's always something good to hold on to. And it's not just a mindset. You see, it's a testament to faith and love and the belief that everything happens for a reason. I learned something. One of the things that I go through significant grief. And people have asked me many times, they say, well, what's the secret? What's the secret? Well, listen, there's no secret. Grief hits everybody differently.
Right.
It hits them in ways that none of us can possibly understand until you go through it. But what I try to tell people, there's 2 things that help me, and hopefully it helps you. It helped me move on. It helped me to get up. It helped me to know I can do something good. One is, be humble. Always remain humble. Humbleness is key in life. Humble before others, humble before God, humble in just daily life. And number 2, you're not in control. You may think you're in control. You think that you have the fullest control of everything, but you don't. And that's okay. And once you let that control go out of you, you let it flow from you and realize, I'm going to get up and do everything I can to make today the greatest. I'm going to give out as much love as I possibly can. As a matter of fact, I recommend something that Christian taught me, and I do it today. Christian had not to-do list. He had to love list. So all of us, we use to-do lists in our lives to check off our accomplishments, things that we achieved. And we lose sight sometimes that really what we should be doing is to love list. And so Christian, what he would do is he'd wake up and he'd make a list of people he was going to put out love to, as many people as he could. What he would say, Who are these people? How could he make an impact? And so I've tried to carry on the exact same thing, right? Wake up, I write my to love list, and how many times I can bring love to someone in their heart. And, when you're out there doing that and you see it, man, it feels so good. It's good for me. I hope it's good for others, but it helps my soul. It helps to build back up my heart. And so I tell you, those who are hurting, those who are going through things, sometimes giving out a lot of love. Sometimes you don't want to give out love, right? You're like, I'm not giving out any love because I'm miserable. But you'll get to a point where you giving out that love will give so much back to you. It will fill up your jar, so to speak. And I think that's I think that's what we're here for. I do. I mean, we're not here long, so we gotta do things that are good for everyone to help everyone. And that'd be my message to someone. And my message also is you can always reach out to me personally if you have questions and concerns and you just want to talk. I talk to people all the time. And so I'm always an ear, a good listener. And I've been, me, my family, been through a lot. We've seen things that we shouldn't have seen, gone through things, but we've come out on the other side strong. And we know that, there are good things to do. There's lots to do while at least I'm still here.
Thank you for that gracious offer. That is so. You've got me choked up here. I mean, I'm not usually at a loss for words, but I really appreciate it, and I know that you are touching many hearts for those who especially are going through something right now, and I thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Now, we're going to promote you in every possible way that we can, of course, and that's why I really appreciate that you said that you are open to talk to people as well. And I trust that they will reach out to you if they just even need that word of encouragement. We don't know. We look at the outside, right? We don't know what's going on in their hearts and their minds and their lives. And so I thank you for that gracious offer again.
Absolutely.
So is there anything that you would like to say in conclusion? And definitely we will have all the links, etc., up on the web post so that people can connect with you.
Great. Yeah, I think if you want to reach out to me personally, you go to chriscochranspeaks.com. So that's my first and last name, speaks.com. That's where I do my speaking engagements. You'll see probably videos, things like that. There's people who book time with me. You can certainly just email me. That's fine too. You can reach me on Chris Cochran Speaks on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. But I guess what I would leave with the audience, most importantly, is my challenge to the audience is simple and profound. Just ask yourself what's good about today. And I know it can help shift your entire perspective. Write down your answers, share them with loved ones, and thank God for the blessings in your life. It's a small practice, but it can have a huge impact on how you see the world and how you approach each day. And remember, kindness matters. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others, because you never know what someone else is going through. And you definitely, if you're able to get my book is available on Amazon. It's available Barnes and Noble. It's available on global distribution. It's a really positive thing when I see that my book is selling in England and Germany and the Czech Republic and those things. And that really gives me hope that a simple message, is that they're getting something out of this that can change the way their perspective is on life and help them do better in difficult moments.
A simple but profound message, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. By my son, for sure. He's the one that gave it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on Never Ever Give Up Hope. Christopher is a poster boy for that.
Never give up hope. I couldn't agree more, Carol. I'm with you. Never ever
That's right.
give up hope.
Thank you. And thank you again for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Never Ever Give Up Hope, featuring Carol Graham. Did you know that most people succeed because they are determined to? Quitting was never an option. Carol loves your comments and will respond to each one. So please subscribe and review this podcast. A rating of 5 stars would be outstanding and appreciated. Remember, if you are still here, there is always hope.